Yeah. Okay. Spells. Spells description contains one or more tags. Yeah, okay. So how much stuff has changed? So wow, nothing has changed, Brent. Okay, sure. Main updates to the spell section. Arcane, Divine, and Primal lists are gone. All spellcasting classes return to using their own lists. I might... I need to look at like... I need to look at the video for this revision. Because I want to know where this comes from. So yeah. Arcane Eruption now requires a deck save rather than a con save. Okay. Counterspell now requires the target to make a saving throw instead of requiring the caster to make an ability check. The spell's previous design failed to account for the capabilities of the target, which is rectified by the new design. The new design also specified that the countered spell must be cast with spell components. And if the countered spell used a spell slot, that slot isn't expended. Wow. Holy crap, are you kidding me? They nerfed counterspells so hard. Wow. Wait, so now they need to make a con save against your spell count. Oh, so this actually explains why counterspell no longer is on the why counterspell is no longer on the abjuration feature, because it's no longer a skill check. It's a save now. Fuck, that's weird. Eldritch Blast and Hex return to their 2014 versions. You're kidding. Is this a thing? Is this are you fucking kidding me? Come on, man. Like, I don't have a problem with this. I really don't. It's just, you know, I get it, right? They made the new Warlock and it probably hit really wrong with a lot of people. But now they're going like, oh no, we're gonna, but like the nerf to Hex I still think was dumb, right? I still don't agree with the Hex nerf. Full stop. The Eldritch Blast's nerf, however much you hate that nerf, was completely understandable because it was a hit to Warlock multiclassing. Because Warlock multiclassing is done for two reasons. It's done for Eldritch Blast and it's done for the invocations. You are still giving the invocations. For the love of God, you're giving invocations at level 1, you're giving 3 invocations at level 2, and now you reverted Eldritch Blast. How are you planning on stopping Warlock dips? I'm sorry, but like, I've seen people who make the argument of like multiclassing should just be removed from the game. I still don't agree with that because multiclassing is one of the few little bits of character builds, like not backstory wise and stuff, but like actual builds that's like really fun to get into in 5th edition. But if your plan is going to be to get rid of the most broken builds, then how are you literally reverting Warlock to its like dipping, like Warlock is insane. And now I actually completely understand why they got rid of it being an intelligence, wisdom, and charisma caster, and giving you your pick, because everybody's gonna want to multi-class into warlock just purely for the invocations and possibly for Eldritch Blast now. This is I'm trying here. I'm really trying here, but like, again, I don't have a problem with it. I like the Warlock dip. I think Warlock dip is cool. I think Warlock dip can be fun. It also, Warlock is like one of those classes that has a very inert like role-playing thing built into it, right? Because you have a patron, and a patron is usually something that you can use to help or screw over your player with, and that's really cool, and it opens up roleplay and all that fun stuff. But here, I don't know where Wizards is going with Warlock anymore. I think Wizards themselves don't know what to do with Warlock, so they're just going, fuck it, we'll leave it as it is and give it a couple of new things so that it looks like we've spent time on it. Anyway. Jump is now a bonus action. This target must be willing. Its benefit no longer relies on your strength or speed. Can be improved at higher levels. Sure. Sorcerer's Burst now uses a D8 rather than a D6. So what are these spells? Arcane Eruption. Churning magical energy explodes in a 20-foot radius sphere centered on a point you choose within range. When you cast a spell, you select the type of damage dealt by the explosion: acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison, psychic, or thunder. Each creature in the sphere must make a dex save instead of a con save. On a failed save, creature takes 6d6. And choose one of those sixes. Number rolled on that die determines the condition that's applied to each creature that's failed to save, as shown below. Creature has the condition till the end of your turn. Right. I think I remember I liked this spell. Because I like the fact that, like, if you rolled low damage numbers, it actually got more value because you were able to take better conditions. Because Deafened is just shit, Charmed is meh, Poisoned is okay, Frightened, I'd put Frightened below Poisoned, I guess, but I don't know. Blinded is really good, and Incapacitated is just, you skip your turn. So I actually really like this. I really like this spell personally. So yeah. So counterspell we already talked about. This is a player change, right? This is very heavily a player change. This is a player change. I'll explain what I mean, right? The spell slots on the DM's creatures usually don't matter as much. They do matter, right? If you have like one 7th level spell slot and your enemy counterspells it, like, that still matters if they can keep it or not, because if they can just recast the spell next turn, you know, they just lost tempo, if we want to use card terms here. The but you know, for players that's different, because of course, as we all know, you're expected to do several encounters in a row. And the fun thing about counterspell is not only do they lose the action and therefore the tempo, they also originally lost the spell slot. But on a player, I feel like on average that matters more than on a creature, because a player is supposed to do several combats, whereas a creature, usually it comes in there for one combat, and then usually it'll be at full power again in the next combat, except in like very specific cases. Like, a player is going to have to do multiple combats in a row more than NPCs are going to have to do, which means this change helps players a lot more than it helps creatures. It still helps creatures, don't get me wrong. However, the big thing of counterspell is still the fact that the action, bonus action, or reaction used to cast it is wasted. This does really mean, This does really mean that con saves are going to become really important on casters. Because, yeah. And especially, this is going to screw over wizards a lot. Because wizards don't get constitution saving throws. Like, and warlocks as well, but warlocks tend to spend more time using Eldritch Blast, and I don't know if you really want to counterspell that. Sorcerers are going to be okay because they have Constitution saving throw proficiency. So I don't know. This feels like a nerf to counterspell, and I think the big reason is because counterspell has always been this very weird spell that everybody loves to use, but nobody likes to see used against them. Right? Because the moment you get counterspelled, it's very similar to you just not getting a turn. And I've noticed like Jed in the Demons of Imanot campaign, he doesn't always say counterspell because it's like counterspell is fucking useless if you're not playing against wizards. Like if I know my party, I know I'm always gonna get value out of counterspell. They don't. They don't know whether or not they're going to get value out of counterspell. Because if they run into just a giant big creature that can hit them in the face a couple of times that doesn't cast any spells, counterspell is going to be useless sitting there. So yeah, counterspell's always been a weird one for me. This is kind of clearly a nerf to it, which I think is kind of welcome, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it's still a really good spell to just pick up. Jump, bonus action, touch a willing creature. Once on each of its turns until the spell ends, that creature can jump up to 30 feet by spending only 10 feet of movement. Nice. Cast a spell using a spell slot, so you can target one additional creature. Sure. This seems pretty good. And then Sorcerer's Burst, you can action 120 feet. Make a ranged attack roll against the target. On a hit, the target takes 1d8 damage. If you roll an 8, right, it has exploding dice. If you roll an 8, roll another d8, add it to the damage. So, I might make a video about this at some point. But for those of you worried, because now you only have a 1 in 8 chance of getting higher damage, on average, an exploding d8 will deal more damage than an exploding d6. So this is a buff on average to Sorcerer's Burst. The maximum number of d8s you can add to the spell's damage equals your spell casting ability modifier. So pretty much, let's say that you have 16 intelligence, you can roll up to 4d8s damage with this. And then it also increases by 1d8 at 5, 11, and 17. Right. I just think this is neat, honestly. I love exploding dice. They just make cool stories. So yeah. Too bad it's on a cantrip. Feats. I don't know why we have feats, gotta be honest. I don't even think I'm gonna look into this, honestly. Nothing changed, so. Alright.